Hi students, in this lesson we're going to go over how to pair Google Fonts, some basics of type, implementing your color palettes into your homepage design, and then lastly some resources for graphic elements. Okay, everyone at this point has 3 different mood boards. And those mood boards have defined image, color, and you used adjectives to define the overall possible personality of your website. Now we want to use the Google font pairing resources on our Canvas site to start to skin in our overall design. And type is the easiest way to start to give an overall look and feel to our website. So if we click the first link, what we'll have is a website with quite a few different pairings that you can choose from. And what I'd like you to do is for each mood board you have, so 3, I want you to download one pairing that matches those adjectives. So for example, on the Thriftster website that I'm working on, one of my adjective pairings is bold and playful, and I want to find a typeface combination that works with that. So I would choose maybe something like Rubric and Carla. And what's awesome about this website is you can just simply download that font pair, and if you're on a Mac, you double click it and install it, and if you're on a PC, you just right click and you can install the fonts that way as well. So again, one pairing for each mood board, and you should be good to go. So I want you to open your latest version of your wireframe and save it as assignment 7 or A7 and just work along with me. I'm going to go over some basics of type and how it applies to your design. Some of this is a review as well. So I have a PDF that's on Canvas that just goes over recommendations so that you have a nice design, especially with working with type. So first and foremost is just recommended type sizes on your layout. So currently we're working with somewhere in the range of a headline, title, or subhead. So these are recommended sizes, but also weights that can help you have success. Also for body copy, which means like subtext underneath our main headers, these are recommended sizes, and then also a recommended button size, and then also working with an all cap. Tracking and kerning. Tracking is just the spacing of the whole word, and kerning is the spacing in between each letter. This is recommended tracking for your overall sizes of your type. So if you have headline type, it recommends that you don't track that out at all. How you track type in Illustrator, you can do it a couple different ways. I'll just show you really quickly. Again, you can double click in between here, hold Option, click the arrows to track it out, and left arrow to track it back in. I think you just hit Control and the arrows and it works on the PC. Or you can simply do it in your paragraph style under tracking, and you can add it there as well, and it'll add it to the word. So again, it recommends the amount of tracking that you should have. The only thing I contrast is it says like for your body copy to track at 10, but if you have really big paragraphs, like a whole editorial page, I recommend not tracking it at all. It also recommends values if you're using a solid black for the size of type. Line height or leading, it has recommendations as well. So if I'm doing body copy, At 13 point, it would recommend maybe 20 point leading. So again, to show everybody what leading is, it is the height or the distance between each line. So if you have leading, again, if I'm hitting up, option up or down, or control up or down, you can control the leading. So right now it's recommending that we use 14 and 20. This will give you a nice lead to start with. You can choose to condense it or not. That's completely up to you. You can work with your faculty to make a better choice. So again, that makes for a nice paragraph of type. There's enough space in between. Mainly you work with with leading to increase your legibility. And these are just more recommendations of padding, spacing in between based on the size of the type. And then just a handful of no-nos, and everybody can read through that. The big one is line length, and we talked about this in a previous lesson, and it just goes over if you have body text, a recommended width is 60 characters and not around 90. Now this is for digital. It's different if you're reading a book. So again, just kind of keep in mind for digital, the optimal is around 60 characters for a bigger paragraph. And then for shorter lines, something like what we have here, it's recommended around 30 to 40. So again, try to keep that in mind when you're doing your revisions to and starting to skin your design. So let's jump back over to your design. I just want to go over why I think the thriftster design is well executed. And it all starts with how he laid out the type. And I'm just going to break down how that system works in this example. Why it works is pretty simple. He has 3 different sizes for his headers. And they are all in all caps and bold, and really the only thing he varies is the overall size. So the first one here is about 56 point. The second one's around 30, and the last one is probably around 16. So what he's done is pretty much each one is half the size of the other. So you can look at your size variation on the page, and if you have a bunch of different header sizes, what you might want to do is simplify it down to 3 max for different header sizes. So again, just because you have a lot of variety doesn't mean that that's good. So simplify it down to maybe 3 to 4 header sizes max. Secondly, his body text is always the same size. So he's not implementing new sizes just because it's a different section. So maybe choose 1, max 2 different sizes for your body, and that's it. And lastly, his secondary tag system or category system that he has is used the same size on each one. So again, the more you can simplify the type, the better it will unify your design. So again, less is always more. So how to implement your Google Fonts that you just downloaded into your design is pretty easy. It just depends on how you built your overall design. If you followed the instructions from the previous video, you have set up character styles or paragraph styles. So I'm going to bring up the paragraph style, and you should have like an H1, H2, H3, body copy, category tags that you've created. Now if you haven't done this, it's not a big deal. I'll show you how to edit it otherwise. So I have an H1 tag that I'm working with here. It's already set to rubric, so the majority of you have just used one typeface throughout your whole wireframe, and that's fine. I've used rubric on all of it. So I'm just going to go in and actually implement a combination of rubric and Carla. So rubric here, to edit it, if you remember, you just double click on my H1, and let's say that we want to change it to something more of a bold. That seems to match a little bit better with my system. And then let's say it's probably better, 34 point. So I'm going to hit OK. To edit my body, it's the same way. I can just come in, double click it. And I can go to basic character format. And I want to find Carla. If I hit K, that didn't work so great, but usually you can hit the first letter and it'll help jump the list. I don't want italic, I just want regular. And then probably increase the leading a little bit more. Let's set it at 18, looks good. Hit OK. And now I'm going to select my category, double click that, and I want to switch that to, again, Carla. That time it worked. And then again, italic. And hit OK. So now I've set my category, my header, and my body copy. And you want to go through and make that edit on all of your text. So the one reason why you use paragraph style is to actually be able to edit a lot of it. So when I was talking about having one body copy for all of this, the reason why is, let's just pretend there's some text here and some text down here in my design. And Jeff or I say, hey, you know, that body text is just a little bit too big. Can you go in and edit it? So if you come in and you just double click your paragraph style for your body, and let's say you set it to 12, it will edit, as you can see, all of that text versus having to go through by hand in each part and change the size. So this is really useful when you start to have a multi-page document and you can edit the text size on everything. So again, if you use paragraph styles, that's why they're really useful. Once you set the style, one, they help you keep consistent, but two, it's really easy to edit multiple pages because of that. If you didn't set a paragraph style, that's absolutely fine. You can just come in here, and you should have a character across the top, which you can change. You can also just click the character here and edit the settings. Or if you go under Window, you can bring the character palette up. Mine's buried somewhere in here. It's this one. That was buried. Try one more time. There we go. So here's my character palette. So again, Adobe, there's always 3 ways to do it. So I can just come in here and change it to Carla if I needed to, versus doing it in the paragraph style. Again, you can do it either way. Jeff or I don't care, as long as you just edit all of your type on the page. So once you have everything edited with your type combo, what you want to do is create a new version. So again, pretend this is mood board 1. It's bold and playful, and now I'm going to do like energetic and cheesy for my second one. So what I want to do is duplicate that artboard. So I've hit document setup. And again, if you're clicked on something here, you won't get that. You just got to click outside the artboard, hit document setup, edit up artboard, and if I just click option or alt or control on the PC, I can copy it over. And you'll do the same process again. If you're working with paragraph styles, it's easy because what you want to do is just duplicate these styles. So if I come in here and do duplicate paragraph style, I'll do like H1, call it design 2, so I don't mess up my previous style. And I'll do the same for my body. This will be design 2. And I would do the same for the category as well. So to edit these is the same process. Let's say that for this version, I'm going to work with Montserrat. So if I click H1D2, come in here, I'm going to change this one. Let's draw it, and I might want to change it to be black. Looks good. So now that header's changed, and then I want to work with maybe PT Sans for the other one. So again, if I click body 2, double click it, let's say PT Sans. I don't want italic, just want regular. Hit OK. So now this is set to body D2, this is header D1, and then I would just make duplicate of the category. Again, same process. D2. And I would change this one again to PT Sans italic. So it's the same process. You come in, you scan the second set of type that you had, and then you duplicate this artboard again, and you scan in the third set. So again, we're creating one homepage design, but with 3 different typographic combinations. We just want to explore what the best type options are for our design. So let's talk about how to implement your color palette from each of your mood boards into your designs. So again, 3 color palettes. One of those color palettes implements here, the second mood board color palette here, and then if I have my third design, a third color palette. Each one will explore different type pairings as well. So one system for this one type system for this one, and one for the third. So implementing color, you have your mood board. You can simply copy and paste that color palette over to the left here, or make a new layer and put it on top. I don't care how you get it over there. You can reference the hex number or the RGB. It's totally up to you. But the one thing I want you to do is think about how you use color sparingly as you implement it into your design. So what I mean by that is choosing, as we can see in this design, a dominant color, a secondary color, and an accent color. Just because you have 5 colors doesn't mean that you have to put a rainbow of color on your design. So first and foremost, in the Thrifter, he has like this tan brown, and that's kind of his dominant color. And he implements it in the top hero image here, but also through a handful of colored images, and specifically a line element under each one of the headers, but also under the tag system. So again, just using it sparingly throughout the design. Also, just because you have a large color palette doesn't mean that you have to come in and block color in the background. My best advice is leave everything white and use color in the focal points that you need. So again, if you have an image or if you have a highlight line underneath your type, don't come in and block in solid colors just because you need to fill the space. Again, use white as your dominant. It'll help make a cleaner and nicer design. So again, primary, secondary is probably the black, and then you could come up with a third color if you felt necessary to add to the typer image. So let's talk about graphic element. Your best friend when it comes to doing web or app design is simply a line element, and it helps define the space, especially in this design example. So if we look closely, you can see that he's using it to define the space between the actual header and the subtext or body copy. And this just helps define the space. Sometimes the header feels like it's floating if it doesn't have this line element. So Jeff and I will talk to you if we think it's appropriate to use to subdivide the space that you're working with. So again, a line element really can help with defining your space and your hierarchy. So a lot of you also have like profile icons and also like stars and things like that on our class canvas. A really great resource under here called the Noun Project or Icon 8. If you click the Noun Project and you really needed a set of stars, voila. And then you can just click on it and you can save it or download it as long as you log in. So you can create a free profile, and you can download as many icons as you want as PNG or SVG, which you can import into Illustrator or Photoshop pretty easily. So again, use the noun project to collect any icons that you would like to have on your website.